grandmother's house, and I was helping clean and go through and sort out some garbage. And while I was there with my sister, my hand slightly. While I was there with my sister, I was given a box full of VHS tapes, and a lot of these are things that I would have watched during my childhood, and most of them are Disney. Actually, I don't think. Most of these are Disney, especially of these that I've sorted aside that I'm just going to rapid fire run through. But it was something that, there's an interesting mix of tapes, so I just thought I'd talk incoherently about it for a few minutes. I'm going to start rapid fire going through what I don't believe to be a Disney movie, although the original animated version was, so I could be wrong. But anyway, this is a live action, I think it's from 1960, version of Peter Pan. And then after that, this next section is just an assortment of Disney animated VHSs, VHS tapes, The Return of Jafar, and I'm not even going to be taking these out of this box, but I can put up some photos just so these are real tapes, not real fake Disney tapes. Which would, I feel like if you bootlegged these tapes and gave them like boutique artwork, like custom, even if it was badly done, those would be of greater value than these tapes. The Return of Jafar, The Lion King, Toy Story, the aforementioned Peter Pan, not a Disney animated movie in this context. The Hunchback of Notre Dame, Dom. Moving on. Beauty and the Beast, The Enchanted Christmas. I don't know, I feel like I thought that was the actual Beauty and the Beast movie at some point recently when I was going through these. Mulan, Hercules, Tarzan, The Little Mermaid, Bambi. And this is actually in reverse order of how I meant to go through these. There's a code on the side of these number code, that I'm going through, ordering these by. So this was the lighter end of the pile, and then this was the first, I'm sorry, this was another, 101 Dalmatians, Beauty and the Beast, the actual Beauty and the Beast, not the Enchanted Christmas. Aladdin, The Fox and the Hound. And then there's a mix of non-clamshell box VHS tapes that are, some of these are things that I'm really interested in, and some of them aren't as much. And the interesting thing is, and even though this fell out, you might be thinking, well, that's not relevant, it fell out the side that was facing you. A lot of these tapes that aren't in the hard shell box are missing the top of the, I feel like that might have been an intentional decision to have it be easier to get the tapes out, but it makes the overall, it's supposed to hold the tape, so it basically has no grip on it anymore, so they'll basically fall out with no provocation on some of these. But one that does have the full paper shell, the Rankin Bass Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the original holiday classic. Following that, we've got both ends open on grease. That sounded wrong. We have E.T. the Extraterrestrial. Then we've got Cocktail. Now, following that, we have probably the one tape in here that, of two, that I was genuinely excited to find and add to the collection. This is The Wizard of Oz. I remember watching this as a child with my grandmother, and the grandmother who was married to my grandfather, whose house I would. And this is a 50th anniversary edition of the movie. Now, granted, it doesn't have this top part of the shell, and it did come with a booklet, which is very nice, but the booklet was once glued onto the case, and it is no longer as such glued. But this, you don't normally get a booklet of behind-the-scenes information. Now, granted, this is a movie that, you know, a lot of people, there's a lot known about it that's been spoken about it already, but it's just personally a nice tape artifact to add to my collection. And then to round this video out, here are some hard case shell VHS tapes. And once again, most of these are Disney animated movies, but these are the tapes that I was most interested in adding to my collection. This is the original Pinocchio. This probably also is, I think, the best looking and of the tapes, because some of these are a little more beat up. But this is, the artwork probably looks like it stands out the most. There's like a little, I don't know what it is, but there's like a nice shimmer to the text. And this is I think it's 1937 Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. I think it's one of the first, if not the first, of the Walt Disney animated movies. And then following that, what's interesting is that for a long period during the original run of Walt Disney movies, there was, that's a bad way of phrasing it, there were, for a good portion of time, getting distributed, the Disney movies, by RKO Radio Pictures. And of course, in 1948, Howard Hughes bought RKO Radio Pictures, and that's been an interest of mine for a while. There's a number of well-known movies that were released during that period where Hughes was in ownership of RKO Radio Pictures, and RKO was distributing the Disney movies still, but this was, of course, after things like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. But you did have I believe it's 1951, original animated feature film release of, that was a long walk off of a really long pier, Peter Pan. Then to wrap this up, the other thing that I'm just obliquely, with no other reasoning, excited to add. The Petrone VHS tape collection, the 1960s Adam West, Burt Ward, Batman movie. This was recently played at a drive-in that is somewhat close to me, called the Mahoning Drive-In Theater in Lehighton, Pennsylvania. I am losing the ability to speak, and this is going to get heavily condensed down, but in the nearby future to this, I'll be, and probably after, by the time this is edited and posted, on July 4th, I'm going to be going to the drive-in theater for the first time to go to a double feature of 60s movies. That is a presentation of a group called Something Weird and the American Film Genre Archive, and the event is called Wanna See Something Weird, and the two films that are going to be presented on 35mm are Teenage Gang Steps from 1966 and She-Mob from 1968. And potentially I will be doing some kind of video of what it's like to go to the drive-in theater, because there's also, to my knowledge, going to be vendors set up selling potentially boutique and interesting movies and foods. Descended